Instead of actually arresting the retail thieves in New York City, the governor has come up with what she feels like is a better idea, and it's to install panic buttons in the stores because that'll scare them away, right? Here's the scoop. Today's story comes from Retail Dive, and guys, you cannot make this up. Okay, retail workers hail New York's new panic button law. They're happy about this because they know that no one's going to get arrested and arraigned and really tried for stealing. They're just going to get a slap on the wrist. So it says, but the bill signed by Governor Kathy Hochul, which requires a host of safety measures to address store based crime, was actually opposed by key trade groups. Hey there. Thanks for clicking on the video. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell for notifications. Now, let's get back to the scoop. I'm not surprised. In the article down here, it says New York Governor Kathy Hochul on Thursday signed a Retail Workers Safety Act into law, requiring retailers to take certain actions to promote safety at stores, including precautionary measures like better lighting, adequate staffing, employee training, and more. Under the new law, companies with 50 or more retail employees must install panic buttons, which the legislation defines as a quote physical button that when pressed immediately dispatches a law enforcement to the workplace, end quote. But guys, that law enforcement, are they going to do their job? And I almost stopped saying that because their job unfortunately is not to really arrest these people unless they steal at least $1,000 in merchandise. I believe that's the law in New York. You have to steal at least $1,000 in products or merchandise in order to actually be properly arrested, like, arraigned, like stay in jail and all of that. So the article says panic buttons installed only about a week ago were instrumental in limiting the number of casualties during a school shooting in Georgia this week, where 4 people, including 2 high schoolers, died, law enforcement told reporters Wednesday. So basically, because some schools have panic buttons, now they're thinking that this can maybe deter the criminals from wanting to do criminal things because that button's going to ring, 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 and the cops that are not going to arrest you or properly arraign you are going to show up, and you're just going to get a slap on the wrist and be back the next day. But hey, anyways. Retailers have made violent crime at stores a centerpiece of their lobbying efforts at the state and federal levels. Last year, David Johnston, Vice President of Asset Protection and Retail Operations at the National Retail Federation, told members of a U.S. House Homeland Security Committee panel that retail employees are fearful about what he said was a rising problem of often violent crime at stores. Yes, this is why no one wants to work at these places. This is why they're always looking to hire new people. They're always looking for new employees because nobody wants to work there. You don't come to work at a Dollar General or even a bodega in New York or just a corner store or even like H&M or the Apple store. You don't come to these stores to be bodyguards or to be police officers. That's not your job. Your job is to assist and give service, customer service, and to, assist them in helping them buy the products and understand the products in the store, not to be a bouncer, not to fight criminals. That's not your job. This is why people don't want these jobs anymore. So it goes on to say that's backed up by other research. The Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union found that over 80% of respondents to a survey of its members said they're worried about an active shooter coming into their workplace, and that nearly 2/3 were harassed or felt intimidated by a customer, coworker, or manager in the last year. These numbers are atrocious. I'm surprised it's 80 and not 90. I mean, seriously, because it's bad out here. So it says similarly, a survey by Theatro, a mobile communication platform for frontline workers, found that 80% of store workers don't feel protected by their employers and that 72% were ill equipped to respond to threats because their store was understaffed. So this is just a setup for a setback. It's just problem on top of problem on top of problem on top of problem. However, several retail organizations, including the National Retail Federation, the Retail Industry Leaders Association, and the Retail Council of New York State, oppose New York's legislation, according to an August letter from the groups to the governor. Interesting. So, in that letter, they called for a genuine, holistic approach to storing community safety and said they urged a veto on the bill due to its, quote, specific provisions, including panic buttons. Quote, the costly mandates proposed in the bill, including the installation of panic buttons, will do little, if anything, to address recidivists entering the stores with the intent to engage in illegal activities such as shoplifting and assault. The letter reads, citing an earlier statement from New York Police Department Community Affairs Bureau that said panic buttons are not advisable. Now, get this. Walmart reportedly opposed the legislation, including the panic button requirement, according to statements made to Reuters by Dan Bartlett, the retail giant's executive vice president of corporate affairs, in which he also downplayed the scale of threat at stores. Walmart declined to comment to Retail Dive. Now that's kind of tricky because Walmarts are a huge target for shooters. But for shooters, I don't know about retail. I mean, I'm sure they have retail theft happening. I don't know what the numbers are looking like there, like if it's 20%, 30%, 50%. But this man, Dan Bartlett, the vice president of corporate affairs, he's downplaying the scale of threats at stores. But, weren't a couple Walmarts shot up? I mean, one in Texas. I don't really, I mean, I guess, but, maybe that's, denial, denial, denial. I do know that they do have threats at these stores. Walmarts are known targets. So I don't know. As public spaces, stores, and malls are vulnerable to gun violence, including mass shootings, which is what I just talked about, with the number of incidents escalating in recent decades, along with the tragic nature of these events, retailers, as a practical matter, face liabilities when they occur, and laws like New York's new Retail Safety Act and similar legislation recently passed in California are likely to increase that risk, as experts say. Experts say. Most importantly, the new law will make both workers and shoppers safer, according to RWDSU President Stuart Applebaum. Quote, the preventative measures this law provides will help stop violence and harassment before it starts, but even more importantly, will more safely assist workers in getting help quickly in the event of an emergency, he said in a statement. From West Hempstead to Buffalo, union workers have suffered grave losses to senseless store shootings. The provisions in this bill can help to save lives, and with Governor Hochul's support and swift implementation, we know we will all be safer. And the question is, guys, will we be safer? Right? Will the people of New York be safer? And I know you guys are going to tell me in the comments, and I can't wait to read these comments. But for me personally, I don't see how this can make things safer in New York. I mean, and in New York specifically, again, if the law is if you don't steal more than $1,000 in products and merchandise, then you don't go to prison, you don't go to jail, you get a slap on the wrist, you get a ticket. If that's still the law, what does a panic button matter? It doesn't matter. So I think this is just like, this is a joke, honestly. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this in the comments. But really, this is just a joke in my mind because it's like, why don't they do their job? Why don't they let the officers do their job so that people can stop stealing? You know what I'm saying? But they won't. They won't do that because I don't know. I really don't understand this at all. But to me, it's like putting a band aid on a gaping wound. And it's just not going to do it. This is not going to really stop the criminals from stealing because again the law needs to come down. It needs to say, okay, if you steal $50, or if you steal $100, and then but then again, maybe they don't have enough room in their prisons. I mean, maybe this is a whole situation that we don't even know. Maybe they don't have enough room in their jails for these people. Maybe that's why. I don't know, but it just seems like this is not going to do anything. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this article? Do you think that this is a good idea to have a panic button? Do you think that just them knowing that the cops are coming and they're on their way and they'll be fingerprinted and be in the system, do you think that will deter these people from wanting to come steal over and over at all of these different stores in New York? Or do you feel like this is just a waste of time and that this is just kicking the can down the road? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.